You ever open your front door expecting maybe a package, maybe a neighbor, and instead you're staring down three guys who look like they bulk ordered SWAT gear off Amazon and decided that made them God for the day? I mean, there's one with a clipboard, one smirking like he just won something, and a third just standing there flexing for nobody like he's auditioning for a bad cop show. First thing out of clipboard guy's mouth: "Sir, you're in violation of HOA Code 7B, unauthorized possession of firearms within community limits." I just blinked. HOA buddy. I don't even have a homeowners association. Not now, not ever. But that didn't slow them down. Clipboard flashes some badge that looks like it came straight from a Halloween costume aisle. Seriously, it even had a barcode sticker still on the back and says, "We'll need you to surrender your weapons voluntarily." You know what I mean? Just like that. Now, I'm not a guy who raises his voice unless I have to. But I am someone who knows how to clear a room in under 3 seconds if things get weird and right. Then my gut told me this isn't official, this is an op. And these clowns, well, they picked the wrong damn porch. I smiled real casual and said, "You boys mind waiting here a sec?" and stepped back inside like I was going to get some paperwork. What I actually grabbed was my tablet hooked to the exterior cams I'd put up last year after a string of weird break-ins down the block, and a pen I'd hollowed out into a discreet little mic. Old habits die hard. I watched them on the feed, whispering, fidgeting, definitely not expecting me to stall. One even started texting like crazy, looking around like backup might roll in at any second. That's when I realized this wasn't amateurs playing Halloween, this was coordinated. But here's what really made my skin crawl their ride. I'd clocked it that morning coming back from a run, matte black SUV, no logo, no plates, parked 2 blocks down like it was trying not to be seen. So I hit record on everything, audio, video, the works, and when I stepped back outside, I had a plan. If these jokers thought they were running a fake HOA scam, they'd picked the wrong mark. I handed clipboard guy a blank piece of paper with a smile and said, "Mind showing me your credentials again?" He squints. "We already did." "Cool," I said, because I just checked with the real HOA. This neighborhood doesn't even have one. Never has. That's when Flex Boy stepped up like he was supposed to scare me. I just grinned. "Buddy, this is me, making it easy." The one on his phone twitched like he was about to bail, but I caught him mouth something, a name, a code. Now I knew they weren't freelancing, they were answering to somebody. So I let them go, smiled, nodded, and said, "This conversation's over. You set foot on my property again, we're going to have a different kind of chat." They tried to strut off tough, but they had no idea I was already tracking their SUV from my cams, noting the make, model, even a dent on the rear bumper. I wasn't calling the cops, I was calling their bluff. 10 minutes later, I was tailing them. Hoodie swapped for a ball cap GoPro, hidden under my dash and my old Tacoma, humming like it was 2007, and I was back running recon in Kandahar. Rookie move on their part, they never checked their six. They looped through 2 neighborhoods, ducked behind a busted strip mall, then slid into this sketchy industrial park behind a self-storage joint. I parked half a block away, watched through a zoom lens, and then things got weird. Out comes another guy, older, bald, dressed like a used car salesman who missed his calling hands over a folder and a fat stack of bills right there in daylight like Craigslist meets cartel. I got the whole thing on video, and that's when it clicked. This wasn't just about me. These guys were running a full-blown scam, shaking down homeowners, posing as HOA enforcers, probably targeting folks they figured wouldn't fight back. Too bad for them, fear's not in my vocabulary. Next 2 days I played ghost. I tracked their SUV twice more, same exact pattern. Knock, flash, the fake badge, spout some bogus violation, walk off with threats, or sometimes a cash-stuffed envelope. But what got me most, the people they targeted. Single mom, elderly couple, one guy in a wheelchair who looked like he hadn't left his porch in weeks. They weren't picking random houses, they were picking easy ones, folks unlikely to fight or ask questions, people with no backup. They were running a textbook extortion ring dressed up as community enforcement, and I couldn't let that slide. So I started building the case, screenshots, license plates, side-by-side comparisons of real HOA letters, and their garbage clips of them screwing up their own script. One guy would call it Code 7B, next time it was Violation 14C. Amateurs, but dangerous. The more I watched, the more I realized they weren't just scaring people into compliance, they were trying to disarm homes. And that made it personal because I don't just own firearms, they're part of who I am. Tools I trained with, tools that saved my life. Tools that keep my neighborhood safe. When these fakes tried to strip that away from decent people with fear and fake authority that wasn't just fraud, it was a threat. That's when I thought of the old vet down the block. Seen him at the range once years back. Now he was standing in his doorway, hands shaking, clutching one of their fake notices like it was radioactive. They told him he had 72 hours to comply or risk legal seizure of his weapons, and he bought it. That's when the mission changed. This wasn't about my house anymore. This was about every house they'd hit and making damn sure the next door they knocked on would be their last mistake. So I set a trap. Hidden cams, audio triggers, a decoy notice on my own door to bait them back. When they returned, I'd be waiting with all the receipts, all the footage, and a calm that only comes before a storm. Sure enough, they came back Thursday, high noon, sun-blazing, kids riding bikes down the street like it was any other day. Clipboard guy swaggered up the driveway with that same smirk, that same plastic badge, like we hadn't danced this dance already. But this time I didn't answer the door. I let the motion sensor trigger the cams, one in the porch light, one in the flower bed, one inside a lawn gnome I'd bought for this exact occasion. Ugly little thing, but it got the angle. They slipped another final notice under my door, this one with a fake court seal and a deadline, then spoke into my ring cam, "You've been warned. Comply or we escalate." I nearly laughed. Escalate, buddy. I invented escalation. I waited till they were halfway down the block, then grabbed my gear, rolled slow behind them, and followed them straight back to their hideout. This time I wasn't just watching. I was about to blow this whole operation up in real time. I parked across from their spot, same busted industrial lot gloves, on hat-low GoPro, rolling tablet in hand, streaming everything from my house live to a private cloud. Then I hit send. Every clip, every photo, every frame of these jokers, threatening neighbors, shaking down old folks, flashing fake badges, all zipped off to a local watchdog group, a few veteran buddies, security folks, even a couple of reporters who hate scams more than I do. And just for fun, I sent it to them too. Scrape their burner email right off one of their fake notices, Compliance Authority / Outlook. Real professional. Subject line, smile, you're live. Not 5 minutes later, I saw panic explode inside that warehouse. Clipboard guy stomps outside yelling into his phone. Bald boss man chucks a box into the back of the SUV like he's clearing evidence, and one of them actually looks up at the sky scanning for drones. Not yet genius. They tried to run, but I was already rolling, tailed them hard, no more subtlety. They blew through red lights, ducked down back roads, doubled back thinking they'd lost me, didn't realize I wasn't the only one following. Two buddies of mine, former Marines, had their own cars tailing, owed me a favor, and loved this kind of chaos. We weren't blocking them in, we were herding them straight into a cul-de-sac dead end. They realized too late. I parked sideways behind them, stepped out, no gun, no yelling, just the tablet glowing in my hand. I held it up like a mirror, and there they were caught on 3 angles, threatening, lying, taking envelopes. "Game's over," I said, and you could see the light go out of their faces real fast. You like picking targets who can't fight back. You like shaking down old folks. Clipboard tried to protest, but I just flipped through the footage one after another: extortion, fraud, impersonating officials, threats involving firearms. You know what that adds up to. Jail, the kind where nobody calls you sir. Bald boss tried to talk tough. "You don't have proof that's admissible." I just grinned. "Don't need court admissible, I need viral." Because while we stood there, that footage was already blowing up on 3 local Facebook groups, 2 neighborhood forums, and a subreddit that eats scammers for breakfast. First car to roll up wasn't a cop. It was a grandma. They'd threatened: beige Corolla, don't tread on me shirt, Crocs, poodle in one hand, phone in the other. She stepped out like she owned the place, pointed at bald boss. "You threatened my husband's service weapon. He fought at Normandy. You ever fight a parking ticket?" Another car, then another. Soon, a crowd of neighbors phones out someone with popcorn, and the mood had gone from tense to electric. One of the fake enforcers tried to bolt my Marine buddy, just said I wouldn't. Clipboard looked ready to cry. Bald boss looked like he was calculating how to vanish. Too late. The yelling started this time from the crowd, not me. The mom they threatened for having a gun safe. She showed up, read their fake notice out loud like she was auditioning for Judge Judy. People booing, recording. One guy live-streamed it to his veteran group and tagged every local news station. Best part. Those scammers were trapped, couldn't leave without wading through a wall of furious neighbors and 30 cell phones. Clipboard guy finally snapped. "This is harassment. You people have no authority. I just leaned in. Neither did you." Bald boss tried to play the victim. "We were just following orders." Classic. Nobody bought it. Especially not the grandpa who walked up Vietnam, vet jacket on, calm as a Sunday. You ever try to take a man's rights again, you better bring more than a clipboard. Whole crowd erupted in applause. That's when the sirens showed up, not because I called them, but because someone flagged the live stream and a local deputy recognized one of the scammers from a separate case. 2 cruisers rolled up. Scammers tried to play innocent. "We're being attacked. This is a misunderstanding." Didn't fly. Cop looked at my footage, turned to clipboard guy. "You realize impersonating a housing official's a felony in this state?" And just like that, the color drained right out of his face. They got cuffed right there in front of the whole neighborhood. Bald boss still trying to plead with the cop. "We were just trying to keep the community safe." Someone in the crowd shouted, "From what mailbox is out of alignment? Next guy, next time sell cookies like the Girl Scouts, man." As they loaded those fakes into the back of the cruisers, the poodle barked like it was delivering the final verdict. Neighborhood threw a block party 2 days later. Lawn chairs, burgers, bounce house. Someone even made a sign, HOA knocker of accountability. I haven't laughed that hard in years. People who barely nodded at each other before were swapping stories, checking in. That old vet. He got a new security system donated by neighbors he didn't know last week. The grandma with the poodle. She's basically mayor now, runs the group chat like a drill sergeant with emojis. As for me, I cut the footage down, posted it to a couple forums. Not for fame, but because people need to know what to watch for. Fake authority preys on silence, but when one person pushes back, everyone stands a little taller. So, yeah, next time somebody in a knockoff vest shows up demanding your rights, ask questions, record everything, maybe keep a gnome cam handy. Trust me, underrated move. Didn't need a badge or a courtroom, just a plan, a few good neighbors, and a lot of receipts. And if those fake HOA clowns are watching this from whatever discount legal team they scraped together, hope you kept backups of your own footage, because I sure did. And if you love seeing scammers get lit up by facts and neighborhood fury, there's a whole playlist of wild takedowns waiting. Let me know in the comments, where are you watching from, and has your HOA ever tried something shady? Because if they have, you might just be one camera away from your own epic ending.